He called me, told me he couldn't remember. He just decided that it's like,
If it starts in the back and works its way up.
to go out.
I mean, if I was
So he
serious,
said he called both.
yeah, $1 million. You can come out the
Or
cost.
he said it to you, I don't care.
I'd give him some off the log.
Which is, I mean, yeah, I just need to review it, 'cause he says he has this stuff, and I'm like, I just don't need it.
Here, let me see what I might have for you. Text or something.
I will, he said he'd call him tomorrow morning.
I'm not great on emails, because I mess them up on my text.
I can do that, I can do that.
Well, we're a minute early, but let's just start. So, I appreciate everybody coming here tonight. It's good to see the chairs really close to being full, and I appreciate that because we got some things going on that we really kind of need to talk about. So, before we get started, I'd like to ask Ms. Jaleel Carter, please have a word of prayer.
May we pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day and the many blessings of this day. Please guide us tonight in making the decisions for the city of Mccaysville for the best interest of our citizens and our city. Guide everyone here safely home. And it's these things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Okay, we've got quite a few things that are going on tonight. Some are last minute that I apologize for not actually getting on the agenda because we just got those kind of around 3:30 time frame on that. But the first thing we always do is have an approval of the minutes. But with that being said, we omitted a price for the new truck that we're going to get for the police department, and we have to have that amount in the minutes for that to work out, and we have to send all this to the Ford folks so they know that it was all approved by the city council. So, Michael, do you have the correct figures there in front of you, or let me see if I can find them real quick to amend the minutes to get approval.
Making approval of the minutes, just don't forget.
Yeah, we got to amend it first.
Okay.
Is that, am I doing that right, to amend it first and then have the approval, correct? Okay. Okay, I have the cost of that here. I apologize for not having it here right at the side, right when it needs to be. But the lease of this patrol car to be replaced is a total of $63,880.89 with a yearly payment of $15,065.73. And at the end of that, we can decide to keep it or we can trade it back in on the value back to Ford. They will buy that back from us. And with the money we have from the patrol car that got totaled, this will pay, I'm thinking, Michael, you told me right at 3 years of the lease, correct?
Probably 2 now.
Okay.
Since everything's went up as high as it is. Like I said, the vehicle was around 49 and some change, but it's about $15,000 an outfit one now. Time you put the blue lights in, the cage, the computer systems and all that.
That would be the total. You know, that would be the year we paid for. need a motion to amend the minutes and have that put in there.
Make a motion.
Need a second, please?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All right, now we're going to the approval of the bills for January. I would need a motion to pay those bills, please.
I make a motion that the bills for January be paid.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Mayor, I hate to interrupt, but I heard
Yes,
a
ma'am.
motion for the amendment. Was there also a motion for the approval of the minutes?
No, there was
No.
not.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Then we need to go back then, my fault, thank you very much. We need a motion for the approval of the minutes, the new minutes, I would say as written.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got a question
Yes, ma'am.
here, according to your invoice, what period of time does that cover?
May through December of 2024.
You usually submit them monthly, don't you?
Yes, ma'am, I do monthly, or at least I try every couple of months. But that one, May through December, so I actually submitted 2 bills the entire year of 2024, so I apologize for that.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, the next thing in the new business is the, what's listed as the front office build out. Kind of mentioned that somewhat at the last meeting. And of course, you do have the bid for that in front of you. And I think we had one last meeting also. And what this is for is to enclose the front and have it where the ladies can control who's actually coming in and out of all the spaces. We've had some issues with folks just coming in and all over the place and then end up in the restrooms, and I don't know how it happens, but things don't always look the same as when they left, along with a lot of the stuff that was in there. And just a couple of weeks ago, we had another individual that came in office to office and was kind of pitching a fit, and we got them out of here. So this is to take care of those issues. What it would actually probably end up looking like if we pass this is there would be a door, but the ladies are the only ones that could open it. It would only open from the inside, and it would have a window there, like a pay window, which would be quite a bit bigger. The space outside would be bigger for people to be able to fill out all their paperwork. What we have is not really adequate for that. And then it would be the same inside with the computers there, and one of the ladies be there to help whoever. We could take all the payments there, but it's not what taken through the window. The approximate time of that taking would be like 2.5 to 3 weeks on that.
Are these
So-
new issues, I'm sorry to interrupt, but are these new issues that have occurred
Well,
with the people who have started coming in?
From what I'm hearing, it's gotten worse the last year or so. And of course, if you come down here and kind of see it, you can understand what they're talking about and how they feel, because there's people up and down the streets, just like you see everywhere. You have no idea who they are. They got backpacks on. They come in, they don't say anything. They just wander around, and then they end up there, and then they may be there for an hour or so. I think one of the main ones, the ladies had to get a couple of officers to come out here and actually get the person out of the restroom. And it was like an hour and a half later.
Took a bath.
Yeah, and just trashed it. And,
So,
you know, it's just, you hate that it kinda got to this thing, but there's things going, it's not like it was years ago, when you knew everybody in town. Everybody waved at you. Otis Williams up there sat there and waved, and I finally went by and he raised his leg up, you know, I said, hey, oh, what's wrong, your arm's hurt? And I wore out, and I just raised my leg up. So everybody knew everybody, but it's just not, you know, not making fun of anything, that's just how the times have changed. And, you know, it's our obligation to make sure we do everything we can to protect the people that work here. I mean, whether it's safety on the outside or safety on the, even in here. And even along with that, talk a little bit about that later. But we found out too that that will help somewhat even on our workers' comp insurance rates. Because you're proving to the carrier that you are doing things to protect and try to keep your workers safe, which will include different things starting this year, the next couple of months, safety meetings for all groups. We keep those located so when they come back and ask you about what have you done to help your workers, we will have proof. We've had safety meetings, we'll buy some additional equipment, probably more so for the workers at the water plant because they're there a lot by themselves. So just getting simple things, a lanyard where they clamp on in a harness they wear. They walk out the gates because it's nobody's ever there, but we can't let people in insurance deals. So they're safetied off, so you know, if something were to happen, they couldn't fall but just so far. And just really simple things that we can do that today found out more about that than anything that we can save quite a bit on our insurance rates. So not only would we protect our workers, but we would be saving some money also, and that's kind of what it's about. So.
And
Yes, ma'am.
cost-wise, you've
Yes,
so
yes, ma'am.
researched.
Yes, what we will do is, with that being mostly for the water department works where Tammy and Amanda work, we will pull some funds from that which are available and some from just the general maintenance of the building here and be able to take care of that without amending anything in the budget. So some of that was budgeted before, but it didn't kind of really get brought up till kind of now that they were having more problems. But, you know, I'd be happy to answer any other questions. The person that gave us an estimate on it, said they would even let us just pay for the material with no markup on the material. We would pay straight for the material, the supplier, and then we would just pay the wage. So generally, when you get a contract job like that, there is markup on the materials also, and that wouldn't be the case here. So pretty much what I can tell you about that part of it. So
Thank you for clarifying that. I was
I would
concerned
like-
about the cost.
yes, we talked about that a whole lot this afternoon. Nancy and I looked at all the figures, and we can do it very easily. Seems like a lot, but it isn't much to keep people safe to me. So I'd like to have a motion to do that if we could.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I would just like to see a artist rendering of what it will look like.
Okay.
That'd be
I can
nice.
probably
Yes,
get that,
Need to see
get
something
that for you,
visual.
yeah.
You know you do.
Would you?
I'll see what I can do about this
Okay,
real
yeah.
quick.
Okay.
Okay. All right, the next thing I'm gonna kind of skip to is the one that I do apologize for it not being in the agenda for us to do this, but it was kind of crept up on us on the last minute. We've been waiting on the estimates to arrive. We put out some bids for our workers' comp insurance. And we received those today, like I said, late, and we have these here, both of the bids, which, you know, we're always open to what the records are. And as you can see, one is $10,000 approximately there, is real close. And the other one, it's really like $9,400 or something kind of like that, but right around 10,000. And we have to have this in, it's effective February 1. So is there any discussion from anyone about which
You got a
plan
contract
we
to
need
do
to
it?
go with?
Sure,
Excuse me?
you got somebody lined up to do it?
On this part?
Mhm.
Yes, sir, do.
Okay.
Yeah, they said it would take approximately 2.5 to 3 weeks. And he did make the statement that he added a little bit extra because he would rather it be a little bit over than have to come back and ask for additional funds. But he thought that it would be somewhat less on that. So, back to our insurance, which I know you two, you Susan and Jalita, a lot better at I am than this, so y'all got an opinion much either way? I know you hadn't had a lot of time to look, but
Well,
You can't
price,
question
there's
the
certainly
other.
a big difference in the
Yeah.
prices, the coverage is
Absolutely.
the same.
coverage is the same, yes ma'am.
Well, I
That
think
was
it's
my understanding
no
on
brainer.
that, so. Okay, that would be with
AIA.
AIA. I would need a motion to accept this bid and contact those folks and let them know we're with them.
I'll make the motion.
And I need a second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, now we get to the next one that really, all these affect everybody in some way or another, but this one is, we kind of talked to you some last month about our resolution for the water rates. And Jason and Davey worked on this several months, looking at it all different kind of ways, looking at what our bills were, what we were coming out on versus what we were spending. And like I said, with the forethought of all the council persons here, did the new metering system has helped tremendously on what we thought were major leaks that was turned out to be nothing but the old mechanical meters were not picking up the usage. It was bypassing a lot of the meters because of the age of the meters. And of course, along with that, made folks think that their bill went way up when actually it was the usage was all getting counted. And which sometimes is hard to explain, but that's made a big difference on what we thought we were gonna have to do on the rates versus what they are. And I think, Jason, correct, this is the first time in what, 8 years or a little bit more?
August of 2016.
Okay.
We met with all the rates.
And in addition to that, Jason and I talked about it quite extensively, and the ladies in the office here have made a lot of phone calls on some of the other charges that we're bringing forth to do this rate, which, like I said before, we're not here to make money, but we're not here to lose money either. And we were getting a lot of things, getting calls of, which the out-of-town folks that come in for the weekend and they want their water cut on Friday, and they call back, well, we decided to leave Monday, come back and cut it off. So we were doing their on and off for them to make sure, you know. Well, I mean, everybody's got a cutoff in their house. I do, several places. Go cut it off, don't call us. So, but no, we were the easiest thing to do. So we decided, and looking at what we were spending on that, with a $50 charge to go out there and do that, and one to cut it back off. If they want to do it that way, that's up to them. But then there again now, want this understood that during the day, any one of you call and say you have a leak. It costs nothing for us to come out there, we will come cut that off. The only way that it would cost any more was, and we will tell you we need it fixed by 3:30. So we can get out there and get it cut back on, and the guys can get back to the shop. So they leave at 4, and there's no overtime involved for that. I think that's very fair to ask it. I mean, you know, there's always some gray areas. If you're really, really close and somebody's going by there, fine, we will make sure we get your water back on. But just several things like that, a lot of rereads. Don't agree with what you said, want you to come read my meter again. Well, that costs a lot of money. I mean, we're not just in the city, we're way out. I mean, way out in Epworth, up Highway 60, all over the place, all out Horseshoe Bend Road, we're everywhere, Epworth, Highway 2. You don't just drive out there for anything. So if a person wants a reread, it will be, you have to come in and request it in person. You can't call on the phone, and you'll be asked to deposit $50. If we go out there, when we go out there, the reading is in your favor, that money will be credited to your account, and you will not be charged anymore. If it is not, and most of the time they take pictures of it, what the reading is, and we would have those things, or it would be written down. We will contact you back and let you know what we found, and either way, you know, we'll get the $50, or you're credited that $50 on your next bill. And that's cheaper than what's going around a lot of other places.
Mayor, I hate to interrupt you.
Yes, ma'am.
But that is actually in the contract, and correct me if tell me if I'm incorrect, Madam Clerk, but that's actually in the contract they signed?
Yes.
And so that's not something that's gonna be in this.
Yeah.
You guys can vote on that if you wanted to, but it's in the contract that everybody's in, the deposit contract, is that right?
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, and thank you again.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
That's why I like you here. Keep me straight.
But you're welcome to vote on including that in the contract
Yeah.
if you would like to.
Yeah.
The $50 cut off. And then I think that the clerk we need clarification if the council would want that to be owners, renters, commercial, all of those things. So if anyone were to make a motion, make sure their motion is very clear as to what they would like it to be put into the deposit contract
Okay.
with the water department.
Okay. So these are just some of the changes we're making to make us a little bit more efficient and give our guys a little bit a chance to do the things that are, not saying that's not important, but getting people's water dug in and put in and on for them to have water, and kind of make us be more like a business that we should be, and that we have rules and regulations that we do go by, which is we make it fair for everyone. So I believe we'll need to read the resolution, correct?
Yes, sir. Do you want to deal with the $50 charge first? See if there's a motion for that to put that into the contract and then read the resolution?
If that's what you say we need to do, that's what we're gonna do.
I make the motion, we put it in the
We
contract,
need-
$50 charge for all
Yeah.
water
I'll
customers.
second.
And
Yes,
that's
sir.
for the rereads or the on and offs or both?
I'd say we will have to do one for each one, correct?
It depends what the motion is.
So,
For all,
We will-
for
I will
all.
do it for both.
okay, is
The
that,
rereads and
is
the
that-
So if I understand the motion, it's for rereads and for cut-ons.
cut-ons and cutoffs.
And it's for commercial,
Residential.
residential
It's
renters, owners.
it's for every person that
Okay,
requires water.
right, so, that's your motion, is that right?
That is correct.
Did you understand that when you seconded it?
Yep.
All in favor?
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Helps me a lot. Because we want to make sure we're right. That's the main thing. Okay, which I would like some of y'all to help me a little bit on the LMIG projects.
Want
Mayor,
to read the resolution?
Yes, go ahead. Excuse me.
I'll read the resolution too, to kind of piggyback off what Terry was saying. We've got a real good water department, and they're real good stewards of our money. Davy's on top of it a lot, which is why we've been able to keep our costs down and not have any rate increases. But with inflation and over the past years, it's materials and wages have went up. So essentially, the rate increase is an additional $1 for the base rate, which brings it up to $16 across the board. And then, well, I'll go through all the rates, but another 30 cents per 1,000 gallons is the additional cost. So I'll go ahead and read the resolution, and then I'll go through the rates in it. Resolution setting water rates inside and outside the incorporated area of the city of Mccaysville, Georgia, setting installation, tap-on fees, and for other purposes. Whereas the city of Mccaysville, Georgia, an incorporated municipality of the state of Georgia, has established a water and wastewater utility to provide for supply of potable water and to provide for sewage treatment and disposal to a significant number of persons located inside and outside of the city limits of the city of Mccaysville, Georgia. And whereas the city of Mccaysville, Georgia recognized the cost of furnishing water and providing sewage treatment has increased, whereas the city council is authorized to set and modify water and sewer customer usage billing rates for inside the city limits and outside the city limits by resolution pursuant to ordinance 18-10-09. And whereas the city council is authorized to set and modify installation tap-on fees by resolution pursuant to ordinance 21-12-14. And whereas the city of Mccaysville, Georgia desires to modify the water sewer customer usage billing rates for inside the city limits and outside the city limits and installation tap-on fees. And whereas the city council finds it is in the best interest of the public of the city of Mccaysville, Georgia, and is advantageous to the welfare of the city residents of the city of Mccaysville, Georgia, to modify the water and sewer customer usage billing rates for the city, for inside the city limits and outside the city limits, and installation tap-on fees. And now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of Mccaysville, Georgia, as follows. All of the whereas clauses set forth above are hereby incorporated by reference. The water shall be as follows. So the water inside the city limits, the residential base rate will now be $16. It was $15. And the residential per 1,000 gallons is now $5.10 per 1,000 gallons. It was $4.80. Commercial base rate is now $21. Commercial per 1,000 gallons is $7.50. Water outside the city limits, residential base rate is $23.50. It used to be $22.50. Residential per 1,000 gallons is $7.50. It used to be $7.20 per 1,000 gallons. Commercial base rate's $31. now, and the commercial per 1,000 gallons is $11.10. Sewer inside city limits is $16 base rate and $6.30 per 1,000 gallon. Commercial base rate is $21, and the commercial per 1,000 gallons is $9.30, and that's inside the city. Outside the city, for sewer, it's $23.50 base rate, and the residential per 1,000 gallons is $9.30. The commercial base rate is $31, and the commercial per 1,000 gallon is $13.80. So essentially, your base rate is what you're initially charged, and then every 1,000 gallons above that, you're charged at the per 1,000 gallon rate. The installation tap-on fees for connection to the water and sewer system shall be at a minimum the following. The final cost shall be based upon site conditions, labor, and materials provided, and as described by the water department superintendent. Minimum water tap for a 3/4 inch connection, residential or commercial, is a minimum of $2,600. And the minimum sewer tap 3 inch to 6 inch connection, residential or commercial, is a minimum of $1,500. Why we set the minimums is because if we go out there and we've got to dig down, 8 to 10 foot, we've got to get trench boxes and different equipment to come put that stuff in. So it'll be we'll come assess it for free. We'll come out and look at it, and then we can give you a base rate. If it's going to be above that, we can let you know, and then y'all can decide. They can decide whether they want to do it or not. The above sheet fee shall begin on today, adopted and approved by the city mayor and council. So I'll make a motion. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt the city ordinance, or the resolution, not city ordinance, resolution for the water rates.
Second, please. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. So that clears up on the others, pretty sure.
This one does, but since you brought it up, actually it was a question, and I think it should be clarified. Is the $50 on the going out, cut off and cut on, is it $50 per trip out?
Yes,
Okay, so it's not 25 there, 25 back. It's 50 there,
yes,
50 back.
Outside business hours.
outside, no. When we're having to go cut it off, if it's like they're asking, you go here, I want you to come cut our water off, and this has happened several times in the last couple of months. So they went on Friday, cut it on. The person called back Monday. Same person most of the time is happening too. I want you to cut that off. I decide I'm not gonna stay a week. Just go cut it off.
So it'd be $50 on Friday and $50 on Monday.
Yes,
That was what you understood your
Yes.
motion to be, and your second?
yes.
Everyone, that's what everybody understood? Okay, perfect.
But during working hours,
Yeah, so it's like,
during the working hours, if a person needs their water cut off for a leak or something of that nature, there's no charge. I mean, we gotta be like a business, but you gotta have a heart somewhere around. But it's,
Can I ask a question? on
yes,
that?
ma'am.
What about for your elderly people? Are you still gonna charge them a reread fee?
It's really not those that we're having issues with, ma'am.
Yeah, so if you go
But
out and
we-
just have to check it for an elderly person, you're not gonna charge the 50?
You saying they're not having trouble with elderly people?
Yeah, we're not having issues with that. It's other things, but you can't. That's what's the hardest part about doing any of these things, whether you raise it up $1 or it's 10 cents. People, you have to be fair and reasonable with everyone, and to kind of bring this to what you're asking. Gotta be real careful how I do this. It's because of reasons, privacy reasons. We had an elderly lady that we tried to contact because the meter was showing, and they can see it on the computer. It was pushing 6.5 gallons a minute. So we called. They went out there. They knocked on the door several times. They called back. We tried to call again. We couldn't see water coming up anywhere close to where we were. They could see it going through the meter at that time. We cut it off. Of course, we got some calls about why we didn't go fix it. Well, we're not allowed to. Insurance reasons, response. If we do, we walk on your property and we can see the spigot running. We can't go cut it off. If we walk up there and do that, we're liable for everything that is, if there's any damage in the home, that becomes our liability at that point by law. So we cannot do that. The lady's bill, at the time when they got it estimated, it would have been over $1,500. The lady was on automatic draft, or whichever you want to call it, from the bank, different names. We called the lady. We found out the issue. She had a stroke and she couldn't kind of get up, but she had some folks that were helping her. We immediately called the bank, had that stopped, because that would have depleted her funds. And we worked it out with her where she could pay a very nominal fee until it was caught up. Now that's what I'm saying, you got to have rules, but you got to have a little bit of heart to go along with the rules. And we're not here to fleece anybody or take advantage of anybody, but we got to be good stewards of your money also. So we're going to be as fair as we absolutely can, but we have to have a set of rules to go by, and we really felt like we were getting taken advantage of quite a bit on some of these deals like we were talking about. Come cut it off, cut it on. Come cut it off. We were just going, well, that costs lots of money. I mean, you go to the station and fill up one of these trucks and it's getting 6 or 8 miles to a gallon. You're spending a lot of money.
And I get
Going
that,
30,
I was just
40
saying
miles.
if an elderly person wants to call in and say, I feel like my bill's too high, can you come check this? Are they gonna get charged?
They will really look on that
Okay.
and see what's going on. I mean, yes, we're gonna take care of our people, but we have to have a set of rules that we need to follow. And like I said, everybody here would. I think everybody would agree we're gonna do what we can to take care of the people that we serve. It's just hard sometimes to make one set and then not follow it. You got to be very careful with that in the eyes of the law. And so therefore we have to be very conscientious of that also. I hope that helps answer
It does, thank
your
you.
question. Yes, ma'am. Okay. I guess now we can do the LMIG thing. The LMIG project. Some of y'all help me out just a little bit on this. It's my understanding that we can get money from the state, but it's at a 30% matching fund for streets, I think sidewalks and bridges, a few other projects. I think that's what I'm saying.
In construction.
If I'm right, which thank y'all for helping me tonight. I'm not doing too good on right.
We've used the past 2 LMIG grants, Mayor, on the bridge when we redone the bridge. We used both of those to refurbish the bridge. For that, we used an LMIG grant to pave that little street down at the city park. So that's what we've done the past 3 years.
Okay, from what I've asked, do y'all know of any street other than one I'm gonna mention here that I got told about to look about this? Do any of y'all have a street that you specifically know that we need to really go look at to repave it or revamp some of the things on that? But just keep in mind, we have to match that at a 30%, and I believe we have to have this in like the middle of February, sometime like that. Which I'm guessing, Courtney, we can make a motion to do the LMIG and put the name of the project in when we decide it is, or do we have to have the name of the project at the time that we vote
I believe
to
it's,
do that?
I believe that you can apply for the LMIG and then do the project determination later.
And so we could actually vote on it and then put the name of the project in. Could each of y'all kind of ask around and see? The one I got told about is, I believe the name of it is Green Street, which is going up past your house, or we would call it the Corns House, through there,
Right.
and it comes back down on,
Patterson.
yeah, Patterson Street there, back down then on what I call it water plant street.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, East
East
Tennessee.
Tennessee,
There you go,
yeah.
thank you. So that is, that's the one I got asked about,
That's
but,
a good
and it's, I think it's in pretty bad shape.
It
which-
is.
And overgrown, which I think that would include, I think we can include in that, if I'm not wrong, Mike, we can help me on that, like the right of way that we
Yes.
need to trim to
Yes.
fix it and get it fixed. So if we, I guess, leave that blank, and we can always use that one if we find something that's more needy, but y'all know a little more about that part there, which I come down through there, but
It's
pretty bad.
definitely
Would you just
bad.
want to name that one then on this grant?
Fine with me.
Would that be fine? Okay, I would need a motion to
I make a
apply for
motion
the
that we apply.
LMIG for Green Street. And
So moved.
a second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
What
Any
about patching, Mayor?
opposed? I think that we have to do quite a bit of that on our own. I'm not 100% sure, but I will ask Nancy kind of in the morning, do you know, Denise?
That's what's looking right here on this grant, and
Tell
it
me.
tells what we can and cannot do on that front page. This is what we can't do, this is what we can do.
Okay, do you understand what we're talking about on that? I hope is, this is a grant from, like GDOT, or Georgia, state of Georgia, and we pick a project and they will finance 70%, and we have to match the 30% to, finish paying for that, so it's a matching deal, grant on that. So, okay, kind of brings us down to old business.
Breaking up.
Anyone have anything they need to bring up on that you know of?
It looks like
Where it
patching
says you can.
on the roads is part of it.
Part of it, okay, good. Well, we may can see what we get and where we end up on that then. In old business, I told you that I would try to let you know when we hear different things about the road project. It's still, I'm assuming the weather's kind of got them shut down now. On that, I have not heard any anything concrete about which, option they're gonna use on for the bridge. I am told that it's real close to making a decision on that. And the other thing, that we did was to write the GDOT commissioner a letter, which we sent, December, first or second week, I think, in December, asking them to reconsider, helping us with the engineering fees that we have incurred on that, which are very extensive. And, I mean, we could do a lot of things if we had that money. I mean, a lot of things, but right now it kinda is what it is. But we have been assured that that letter will be looked at by that commission and by the board of directors of GDOT. So right now, that's kinda all we can hope for. That's a whole lot better to me than a no, which we originally got. So, hopefully, as soon as I hear that, we will let everybody know, because it's very important to everybody. I would rather know now than in June, but hopefully it'll be quicker. The other thing that I would like to mention, if it was good, is this, haven't y'all looked about the new House Bill 581? Glenn wrote a very great article in the paper, I believe, that is one of the best explanations for that made the most sense to me of what it is. I'm gonna tell you my opinion, which isn't worth a whole lot, but I wish all of you would look at it, and I wish you could come, if you can, to these meetings, because this was approved by 73, I believe, percent, to percent.
66.
Excuse me?
66, that figure's been corrected in Fannin County.
Okay, it was 66% of the voters in Fannin County approved this House bill. And with any bill that's put on there for you to read, there's not a really good explanation there. It's about that big, and the words are about as big as the end of a pencil, and you say, well, okay, no, okay. You don't know what you've really kind of read unless you know about it and you have researched it beforehand. The bill itself, and I'm just telling you my opinion, really looks good on the outside, because the first wording of it is talking about your tax exemption. Well, everybody wants a tax exemption, including me. But you start reading on about it, and they could only raise your appraisal on your home by no more than, I believe, 2%, correct, Glenn? Around that a year.
If you actually read the bill, it's going to be set with the Department of Revenue. That's just a figure that some of the politicians are throwing out right now.
That's what we kind of got told at the very first meeting, and Susan was there, so please correct me on anything on that. But right after you read that, there's a part that says, if you don't come up to meet your needs of your city and or your county, you have a option of passing a 1 cent, I believe it's a floss tax, which is a floating tax that can only be used for making up the revenue lost by the appraisals of homes not going up, correct?
Assessment.
Your assessment. Now, with that being said, it looked, everything would go along pretty good until everything flattens out like it did before, and or we go into a place where there's not a lot of houses being built, and at that time, the appraisals actually went down. So, in the end result, there's a very, very good possibility you would have to raise your millage rates to even make it back to what you have set in your budget to work with right now, much less what happens next year or the next. So we think, or I do in reality, that it's not a really good thing for the people of Fannin County and the citizens of Mccaysville. I'm not trying to say we need to just vote against it, but I would really like, and all of us would like to hear from you so we can make the best decision we can. Now, with saying that, if you come to the meeting, you'll probably learn that any two cities can vote to opt out. And we're required to have these 3 meetings to even be able to opt out if you want to. We're required to do that. So we have to go there and have enough of our council there to actually open a meeting for each city, the county, school board, all has to go and do this before you can even opt out. We have to have all this done and turned in to say what you're going to do by March 1. Very short time. Glenn may know a lot more about this, but at the time we talked, the last meeting Susan and I attended, they didn't even have the software ready to do that.
Still don't.
They had no paperwork ready for us to start applying. They told us you will have to have your lawyer fill all these papers out. We have nothing to offer Courtney on this. We don't know what it's actually really going to be. And yes, everybody wants a tax break, everybody. I mean, that's a natural thing. You don't want to pay, but what you have to pay. But really wish you would look at it and think about it and give us feedback. We need that tremendously, because if we decide to opt out, we have to vote on it, all of us. And we would rather hear from you what you think we need to do than come up here and just try to cram it down somebody's throat.
But who come up with that idea?
Susan.
Somebody in Atlanta or somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hell with them.
It came from a House bill that was sponsored, and it passed through the general election we had this
Okay.
last November.
So
So
I guess the ones from California and New York come down there and put their 2 cents.
it was on the ballot. I don't know, but it just hit me really wrong that
Yeah.
it's a tax break, but
It is.
here's your way to make up the money when you lose it. I mean, it's hooray for them and us.
Yeah.
And it's
I
gonna
guess
make,
they want to tax nobody don't live here no more. They
It's
want to
gonna
do it
make-
somewhere else.
they'll be in the clear because it voted and passed
Yeah.
unanimously. Who's gonna take the flak for it, whether it works or whether it don't, is all the locals.
Mhm.
And right now, Fannin County has one of the lowest millage rates, or the lowest in the state of Georgia. And they've
Yeah.
done a great job up there. I mean,
I'd say that's probably going to change if you see Highway 515 coming up through here. They're running them transmission lines, so it's fixing to get turned around.
well, there's a lot of things gonna change, and some of them's gonna be real good, and some of them ain't.
Mhm.
And we as a group need to, that's why we need you here. I mean, yeah, we got voted in, but we're supposed to listen to you too to help make decisions. It's not all on us. But it is, because we're the ones that have to raise our hand and say yes or no. So please look at that. And
Come
if
to
you can,
the
I would
meetings.
encourage you, yes ma'am. Come to the meetings and decide for yourself. And we will probably have to, we will have to have another call meeting in February. That's why we have to get all this done in January. That's why the rush was on. And this was the only way that all of us that were there, the cities were represented. The school board now is a different entity, all to theirself. They can opt in or they can opt out, correct? And
Yeah, but there are parts of that bill, for instance, the school board, the bill sets a cap on what their millage rate can be. The bill does not provide for them to share in a floating local option sales tax.
okay,
They're really up against it worse than the county and the cities.
that's why I'm saying, you need to read his article. I'm serious, it's a heart attack. You need to read it.
Yeah, read it this morning.
Best explanation of this that I've heard. And Dawn Cochran,
Mhm.
y'all need to be thankful that she is up there doing the job she's doing.
And she's been to several
And-
schools.
And they can't tell her things from what she
Right.
told. She said
There's
they,
still so many
they don't know.
unknowns.
And they're changing things on it now. It's a,
What makes you nervous is there's a lot of unknowns
Uh-huh.
and it's being rushed.
yes, yes,
And it really
very
feels
much
like,
so.
you know, you're taking money from one pot and moving it to another. And you're gonna wind up balancing everything back out, but, you know, how's that gonna affect everybody?
Yeah.
How's it actually gonna affect your taxes? It may look good for a year or two and then,
And we
Well-
asked about that. I believe
And
you asked about that in the
well,
meeting.
the way Dawn explained it, we might not see if we stay with the bill. We might not see any changes 1 year, 2 years, but after the third year is when there would probably, Fannin County would see changes in
Courtney,
their
have you?
taxes.
I'm sure you saw some about it.
I mean, basically
Read
everything that
something
you said.
I mean,
This is enough.
there's so many unknowns, I just don't feel really good about doing that. But, saying that again, 66% of here did that. And, you know, it's very hard to face you and say, look, they're wrong, and we're right. But sometimes you gotta stand up and say how you feel, and that's how I feel about it.
Well, I've certainly kept all of Glenn's writings, because they have helped me.
Yes,
The best.
the
Absolutely.
best.
Well, what
Mean
happens if nobody passes the floss?
Ma'am?
What happens if nobody
That's the
passes the
thing.
There you
floss?
go.
Then who decides?
Okay, now here's the other thing.
Vote.
Your city.
Right.
Here's the other thing.
Uh-huh.
You pass the floss. You turn around and the next year comes up splost. The next year turns around and comes up e-splost. And folks say, look, we've had enough of this. We're not gonna pass any of it.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't
You
get
would
the
not
money, now who
believe-
makes the decision on
You
what?
would not believe what not
The
having the
voters.
splosh tax would do right here.
Yeah.
It's
I-
unbelievable, the kind of money that we get brought in, and we have specific rules and regulations that we have to go by. But the end of it is, we've got to spend that money during that year. Some of it you can defer if you're doing a project, I'm pretty sure. But if you don't spend it, you have to give it back. So why would you not spend it for the good of the citizens where you live? But we still need to spend it wisely. We don't need to
Yeah.
go out and buy whatever just to say we got a bright,
Yeah, I-
shiny new
Yeah,
bell or
I read
something.
your
The way-
article
the way
this
the
morning,
bill
and it was awesome, but I voted against it because it was, anything that sounds too good to be true, and this had
Exactly.
the whole ring of the, we
Exactly.
have to pass it to read it thing.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, yeah, I don't think so, and my neighbor, she said she read it 12 times and she didn't understand what they were even saying. But she voted for it, and I'm like, so, you know, now she's like, well, no. And I'm like, well, you need to go to the meeting and tell them to vote against it, because y'all's gonna be the one who's deciding it, right? I mean, it's like, because what people tell you, that's how you're gonna vote, is my
Yes,
understanding.
any two of the cities can, let's say we vote to opt out. Blue Ridge, Morganton won't opt in, want to leave it, go with it.
They do.
If they,
Oh.
this is just how it kind of works. That's what it'll be for everybody in the county.
Yeah.
Any two cities will give 50% of the voters, and that's what you have to go with. So any two cannot opt out, then the county, full county, not the school board,
Right.
the county all has to opt out. The flossed has to be voted on county-wide. It will not be a city thing either way. It's got to be a county-wide thing. And you can go up in increments on that, but you would keep having to have election after election after election. So the best way to do that would be to go the 1 cent one time, but you have to keep voting it in.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you know, I
I
came
mean-
from Cobb County, and
I mean,
trust me, I lived there 30 years, and
For
it
us-
started out real good.
for us, if we lost, well, if the county lost the floss,
Yeah.
lost the splost,
It would hurt
It-
us
you
all.
would not believe what it would, we would have no choice but to raise our tax millage rates
Yeah.
tremendously.
Yeah.
Just to do what we're doing on today's budget, much less anything that came up. It's a really bad bet to me. You're not betting on the sure thing, so. Lee, you look like you wanna say something. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Your initial question, if the East Loss didn't pass, the way the bill's written, the East Loss makes it sound like you'll recoup the money from the cap on the assessment. Okay, if the East Loss doesn't pass, they still have to balance the checkbook.
Right.
The only way the checkbook is going to balance is for the millage rate to be increased,
Right.
or services to be cut. And that's the way that the legislature will try to sell it to you, that this East Loss will cover everything. That penny won't necessarily cover the cap on the assessment, keep the millage rate the same.
Right, and then they're
And-
counting on it passing
and
too,
that-
people's gonna get
yes.
tired of passing stuff.
And that also, please correct me if I'm wrong, will be split up just like the splost is now. The flossed would be split up
It'd have to be negotiated.
and negotiated out, so, just like the other. So, I mean,
Yeah, that's a nice.
kinda like the Fram commercial, pay me now or pay me later. That's about what it is to me.
Well, and
But-
one other
but
thing,
please.
this was just learned today, with the floating splosh, to get it voted in, because of the opt-out time of March 1, that election can't be held until November. That means you wouldn't see any money from that tax until 2 years down the road, 27. You'd have to float that cap on the assessment that first year. That wasn't known when we had that first meeting. I just heard that today.
Well,
So
see,
they're gonna
here
have
we
a
are.
year.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I didn't know those things. I mean,
yeah, funny how the
I mean,
first 2 years it wouldn't make
please.
a difference, but the
But
third
no,
year's a
it's-
problem, now you gotta get the.
That's what they
yeah,
think
please,
about.
yeah.
Yeah.
How many of y'all, just from what we've talked about, think it's a good thing here? How many of you don't?
I don't.
I don't think it'd be fair. It can't be fair in the grand scheme of things, because like, if we had houses side by side, the assessment values,
Okay.
would cause some problems.
That's another one of the things they're depending on, is houses to keep being,
Sold.
yes, the assessment will stay on at the 2024 rate until it is sold.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it is sold, then that assessment goes up. What the selling price was, 40% of that selling price. You would lose none of the things that we get exemptions on now from here. It's what they say.
Yeah. As the-
what they're saying.
As it's written.
As it's
now, they
written
can't
right
take away
now.
the local exemptions.
We would not lose any of those. But still, how you gonna make everything work out?
Got a balance check.
Yeah, we got to.
Yeah, you're counting on money that's
mean-
not, you can't guarantee that.
Exactly.
That's like betting at poker.
That's, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, that's how I really feel about it, I mean,
Probably be
and I
better
said
off.
that in that other meeting, to me, it's a bait and
Probably
switch.
you'd probably be better off.
It really is, it's just a bait and switch, you know? But they're gonna look good, and we're gonna look like, you know what?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's really simple to me about that, I don't, and when we got the speech, y'all heard the speech, it was fantastic speech, wasn't it? Just, you better really think about this and not get out of this. You know, and I
Hey
I
Terry,
don't think Susan
in
going,
all-
or Billy Wayne going, we went
in
out
all the
there and sat
meetings
there.
that we've been to and that y'all have went to, have you heard anybody mention anything about rolling back the millage rate? If you opt under and it goes up to a certain, 3 or 4 or 5 mils, did you hear anybody from the state say, we'll roll it back?
No, I did
That
not,
ain't never gonna happen.
I did not.
Nobody ever said
Ever.
anything about rolling your taxes back. It's always, we won't go up more than 3 mils.
So,
What they said.
I guess we beat that one to death, so better move on a little bit. But please, if you can, go to those, there'll be 3 of them. If you can, just attend one. And then we will have our meeting back here. We probably have to have a call meeting to do it. Or talk about it again at the next meeting, but we got a very short time to do that. And plus, it's, like I say, we have no material, we have nothing to give Courtney. Courtney's, you're gonna put everybody in a bind, and what it makes me feel like too is they're gonna keep going and keep going and keep going and give it to you February 28th and say, oh, by the way, if you don't have this in tomorrow, you're already in. And it's, there you are. Wouldn't shock me a bit if that's how it happened.
We're already in.
Yeah, we're in right now,
Because it says
unless we
voted.
vote out. So, it's a, hey, it's not good. Think about it, please. If you
Yeah.
can come, I would really appreciate that. Okay, kind of moving on. Sorry to drag that out so much, but it bothers me a lot on that.
When is the meeting, the next meeting?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow at the courthouse on the
Courthouse
3rd
at 6
floor,
o'clock.
6
At
o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6
Yes,
o'clock.
there will be 3. The next one, 22nd, 10 o'clock
10 o'clock.
at the courthouse. The 3rd one is the 30th of January at 6 o'clock, correct?
I believe it's 5:30.
5:30, 5:30, 5:30
At
at the Performing Arts Center at Fanning High School.
I'm trying to advertise with Glenn, but if you go buy a paper, there are all the dates are in
Yeah,
there.
and it will be in there every
every
It has
week.
Every week, it will be in there where it's gonna be on next week. So Tuesday or Wednesday, when you get your paper, it will be listed there. So you got 3 chances. Please help us out. Please. Okay.
Okay, I need to
Yes,
mention
ma'am.
something, Terry. Last month in our meeting, we talked about the business license, and so Courtney asked her to do a resolution. It has to be ordinance, sorry. It has to be put in the paper 2 times, and then we vote on it, and it's raising the business license to $100.
Yes, and she's also, I asked Courtney to prepare an ordinance for recreational vehicles that are being used as permanent housing. So same for that, we should have those next month.
You should, yep, it'll be published in the paper. You have to have 2 readings of it, and at the second reading, it can be a vote.
Okay.
And if any council member wants a copy of those, they are already drafted.
How's that gonna read? How's that, roughly how would that read about RV to live in?
So you're welcome to get a copy of it.
Cause it's kinda lengthy.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
you're welcome. You can get a copy from the clerk.
Okay.
Okay, council members, anyone else have city clerk report?
Okay, the direct deposit's gonna start this week, and also with the build out, we would have to close off the front doors because of the construction for safety of the citizens, and they could use the drive-through. We could do all business through the drive-through with the doors being kept locked for safety of the citizens during that time.
And just add one thing, some of the work will probably be done on some Saturdays to limit the amount of time it's closed. So, help out on that part also. Okay,
Terry.
special meeting.
On those 2 ordinances, to have it passed by the special, we'd have to do a special meeting and then do the second meeting for the ordinance to go through.
So we would have to have a special meeting
Special
to do the ordinances. We would have to have 2 in
meeting.
February,
In February, you have to do a special meeting first.
or wait till March to do it, one or the other, correct?
Mhm.
But they have to be in the paper
Two.
two times. It's gonna put you almost up in the middle of
To do it.
Sep-
Special meeting.
February. Okay, all right.
So I think what she's saying is that we need to decide if you guys want those ordinances to be effective in February if passed, or in March if passed. Because if you want them effective in February if passed, then you need to go ahead and talk about a special call meeting date. Because the dates for the times that you're gonna read the ordinances have to be put in the newspaper, and we haven't put those in there yet. It has to be published twice before the first reading.
Okay.
Or you could do it in March and you could publish it now, have the first reading in February, the second reading in March, and pass them in March, if it were to pass.
Got a whole lot going on, don't we?
We got a lot going on, so I guess that's probably the best option.
And we have to have a 3-day notice. How many day notice do we need to make sure it's posted and for a special, for a call meeting?
I think you can do it quickly if you need to do a
Do a
special call meeting.
meeting.
But what we're talking about here is that the ordinance publication of the paper has to say the dates that it's going to be read on.
Okay.
And so we
Gotcha.
can't, with publication timelines, we couldn't publish
Yeah.
it today and say it was gonna be tomorrow.
Yeah.
You'd have to give them at least a week
Yeah.
notice. And it has to run twice
Okay.
before the first meeting.
How are we gonna enforce the camper deal as a permanent resident?
So, the way that I've written it, and I'm happy to send anybody a copy of it. Let me pull it up, give me a minute.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question as well.
Yeah,
Looks like
it had to be clear,
So,
not a gray area here.
so the way it's written up is it defines what a recreational vehicle is, being a vehicle type portable structure without permanent foundation which can be towed, hauled, or driven, and primarily designed as temporary living accommodations for recreational camping and travel use, and including but not limited to travel trailers, truck campers, camping trailers, and self-propelled motorhomes. And it says that all recreational vehicles in the city of Mccaysville must be fully licensed and ready for highway use. A recreational vehicle is ready for highway use if it is licensed on its wheels or jacking system, attached to the site only by quick disconnect type utilities and security devices. It has no permanent attached structures or additions. A maximum of 1 recreational vehicle may be parked or stored on a single-family property in the side or rear yard. Recreational vehicles shall not be parked in side yards adjacent to public streets. No recreational vehicles shall be used for living, sleeping, or housing purposes when parked or stored on a residential lot or in any location not approved for such use by the City of Mccaysville Council. That is the drafted version of it.
If somebody's parking their camper in their yard, just as a, and not living in it.
So that's fine. So it says here that you have to have all your property fully licensed and ready for highway use. Now, if you've taken the wheels off of it and you've put a power pole out there, that is not a quick disconnect. That is not ready for highway use. If you permanently permanently affixed it to the ground, then it would not be okay. But one parked in the yard,
The state law says RVs and campers may be allowed in the rear yard of a residential property, but not at the front of the yard. So if somebody's got one behind their house, then we can do.
unless they're living in it,
Correct.
this would say they could not do that.
So basically, if there's like a camper that's underpinned with quick connects, that's kind of where you draw the line, or it's,
And then, but it specifically also says you can't be living in it.
yeah.
You can't be housekeeping purposes. So you couldn't be, goodness gracious, making a
Why would we
janitor.
want those anyway?
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, why would we want those anyway?
Hate to tell you this, I'm the first one in violation. I got 2 RVs.
And there's 26 inside the city, so you might think there might be 3 or 4, but there's actually 26.
Yeah, there's gonna be
And
more.
there's gonna be more if we don't do something.
And can I
Sure.
touch base on that, just for a second?
We're not going after you.
I don't know, but you know, I mean, what I say.
Get their attention for you.
Hold on, if you guys could just be quiet, we're having a council meeting up here. The mayor will announce you. He will, so whenever you have a chance to talk, he'll point to you and say that you can talk.
Yeah. So I'm number 1 there on that.
But I think the only part where you're at is because the maximum number of vehicles, recreational vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, both of them's in the barn.
It just says can't be parked on the side or rear yard. So yours is not on the side or rear yard.
Well, depends on where you
If
sit.
you have a
front,
person
back,
living in
yeah.
one of those, if you have a person living in one of those places, what are you gonna do for that person? Just
Get 'em
tell
out.
them that they're gonna have to move or get out, or what if that's the only place they've got to live?
And that's a great question that you guys have to decide. If you pass it, then it would be where they would have to, they could not live in those. They couldn't.
Is there anything
About
to
what
being
happened in North
grandfathered in?
Carolina?
I'm sorry, I can't listen to 2 people at once. What?
Is there anything to being grandfathered in?
No. No, if this passes, it passes. It's effective immediately.
But let me ask you, like North Carolina, they had a river, it flooded. We got a river, it floods. All the houses down through there get flooded. You gonna tell somebody they can't put a camper there till you get my house rebuilt?
That's what I was about to say.
I'm sure FEMA will come in for that.
I mean, I got a camper in my house right beside the house,
But most
but we don't live in it.
most of this is, they're throwing them up and just letting them live on the lot.
Yeah.
It ain't
That
like
would be
they're
an
rebuilding their
emergency.
own.
A little bit about that way that's read. If I'm living in it, on that piece of property, I can't live there.
So with that, there are emergency provisions in the charter where you can actually do an emergency ordinance. In that situation, it could be lifted if the council wanted to do that and go that route. We've had to do emergency provisions here in the council before for COVID. But I think it's something you guys should certainly think about and consider. And if you want to do a workshop on it, we could absolutely do a workshop on it. Because it is going to impact people.
Maybe we need to do a workshop before we post it in the paper, just in case we need to rewrite something in it. And make sure we want to post it, or how it would be posted.
Yeah, we need
Well,
Make
that'd
a
be
motion
okay
to
because
just
we need to do something
have a-
about it.
We definitely
Need
do.
to-
I mean, these people have
Need to
already
do.
got them living in their yards.
We need to vote on that. Have a
How close to
workshop.
your house are they? Whoever it is.
Right in the
Right
front
in their front
yard.
yard.
Yeah, mine's probably, 40 feet away?
Yeah. And it's trashy.
You can see
Right
it from
up
Harpertown
It's
Hill.
not a nice looking thing.
Where is that now?
I went
Off,
with-
54, yeah, Sutton Street. And also, he
They're all-
laid another, pole down that he's fixing to put up on the other half of the property.
Just renting lots out
Whose property is that?
What's his name?
Doug and
Dennis
Jeff?
Rogers?
You're right.
We have it on the same side, and Keith went out to look at it and said they're non-compliant.
I went with it.
So, assuming everybody wants to have a workshop, correct?
That's fine.
And
Yeah,
we don't
Need
we
to
don't
address
have to,
it.
we don't have
Need
to
to
vote on
address
it, we
it.
were gonna do that, but we have to post that like we're having a meeting.
It gets posted in the meeting, since we're all here, we can decide the date if you want to decide the date, or the clerk can help everybody coordinate the date. But I agree with Councilman Woody that if there's gonna be a workshop, we should not publish it in the paper until after the workshop with the final
Draft.
because otherwise we have to restart all over. It's just a waste of money.
Okay.
She has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, maybe I hate to add to your stress, but, you know, I live in Dalton and I come here just for the weekend sometimes. I inherited my grandmother's house. I love this town. My mom lives here, my dad, and, you know, I feel mad when I come here, but I feel sad for y'all because of the way it is now. It just looks bad. It's it's an eyesore. And, you know, I don't feel safe, like if my mom didn't have my dad at home. I don't feel safe leaving my home that I have here alone whenever, you know, I'm a social worker. I don't judge people based on what they have, but I base people, judge them based on their actions. And so if you have people that you don't even trust coming in here where you're going to have to put a lock on the door, how are we supposed to trust people whenever we're not even around or whenever you're in the bed? You know, a lot of people may not live around it, and yes, people live in campers and that's fine, but at the same time, if you're a dope head, you could live in anything. I get that. But whenever you're outside after midnight, standing on the top of your trailer, or you're outside burning stuff, or, it's not good for the people in the city limits. And I know there's different ordinances for city and county, but, I mean, really you need to have a workshop with the people that it affects. I know that you say don't put it in the paper, but,
Oh, no, ma'am. Workshops are published in the paper. Workshops are absolutely published in the paper and
That's what
open to the
they're for.
public.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we don't publish a final draft of the ordinance until there is a final draft. And there would not be a final draft until after the workshop was completed. So
Right.
absolutely, we open every single workshop to the public and welcome you to come. And actually, this meeting is being ran more in a workshop style because you would be able to have input at that time.
Yeah, and like I said, it makes me mad to see the town this way, but sad because, you do live in it. She lives in it, I'm an only child, she's an only child, there's not a lot that I can do for her sometimes here, and I just want it to be a safe town for people to be in.
I understand that.
So, I want you to take all that into, account. So,
Well, you put a ratty trailer in, you're
Oh,
inviting,
and
you're
I'll just
inviting
tell you,
someone that.
I have somebody that turns my water on and off, so I don't have to ask y'all to.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to maybe draw the attention that something that maybe you could talk about is the models of trailers that are brought in here. I don't think there's anything that stipulates by ordinance or anything that you couldn't bring in a 1960 model mobile home.
It's 10 years.
And so that would be the same kind of problem as these RV type things.
Yeah, so there's already a ordinance in the county. You can't bring nothing in. You cannot move a mobile home if it's over 10 years inside the county. So that would be whatever 10
Yeah.
years from now
Yeah.
is. So that is a good thing on there.
I mean, it would be easy, but I mean, I have an empty lot, just to put a trailer on there and rent it out, you know?
No, we can't.
Anything.
Down on Weaver Street. That old trailer's about a 60 model, and they slipped
Well,
in.
it's been, but that's been there a long time.
Well, we definitely got issues, so, and we understand, and I think Courtney's suggestion and Jason of the workshop where we can just focus on that and that only, and see what we can all come up that will be the best for all of us, I think would be a whole lot more, and more time can be put into it and make it right than have to start over again and over again and over again. And that would give us a chance too to also make sure that what we do is within the rights and the laws of the state of Georgia and even the county, and make sure we get it right one time.
Yeah, because it's definitely not even fair to the police department that has to constantly deal with the trouble that we have in our town that we're not working on.
Well,
I think a lot of our trouble comes across the state line that we don't have any control of, unfortunately.
yeah, I'd hate to say it that way, but very true.
No, we don't.
And talked with Mr. Greg Barker several times, and he understands that situation. He's, as Glenn put it, he's really between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, he's newly elected, and they don't have a police department, so it's
He's a good guy.
hard.
He really is, and I mean, he's a very caring guy, and we've talked about that, and as much as we would love to help him, and we do at times, but we're very restricted because of state lines, jurisdictions, and different laws from state to state, so we have to be extremely careful in what we do to not cross those lines. And, they do a great job at doing that, and Michael and myself talked about that a lot this week after we talked with Greg. He's very concerned about it, but like I say, he's in a bad place right now. But I think they give him time, I believe he'll work it out, because he's a good guy, very good guy. Okay, then Michael, got anything for us, sir?
So it's, I guess it'd be our new business, Mayor and Council. There's a change at Borough Restaurant, I guess 2 weeks ago, something like that, a week ago. My days are running together. But they have closed Borough due to remodeling. And basically, as you see in front of you, according to our city ordinance, which is our alcohol ordinance, Section 4.3, which requires a sworn statement to be filed with the city clerk within 5 days when a change occurs in the relationship of any person's status of property or license or management. The following report is submitted for review. Michael Galinsky, Mccaysville Rocks, LLC, submitted a sworn statement to City Clerk Docker reporting a change in the managing agent for Borough on the River and Twisted Tomato. This change relinquished Karen Hawkins as a managing agent and designated Melissa Ann Clements, that's with an S, as the new managing agent. The sworn statement and corresponding application were filed with City Clerk Docker within the 5-day period. Here, sir. The sworn statement and corresponding application were filed with City Clerk Godfrey within the 5-day period specified by the ordinance. The required fees of $100 per application for the change in managing agents were paid in accordance with the ordinance 1703-14 Section B on page 17. Upon receipt of the application, City Clerk Godfrey and I conduct an investigation into the qualifications and compliance of Melissa Ann Clements with C Ordinance 1703-14. My findings are as follows. Criminal background check was conducted and no record was found for Ms. Clements. Ms. Clements meets the requirements outlined in Ordinance 170314 on page 24, including criteria 1 and 2 and the related subsections. Based on my investigation and provisions of Ordinance 170314, I find no reason to deny the designation of Melissa Ann Clements as the managing agent for Burra Burra on the River and Twisted Tomato under the license held by Peter Michael Galinsky. So basically, Mayor, just need to vote that his managing agent has changed from Karen Hawkins to Melissa Ann Clements. And approval, yes.
So everything's clear.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Okay, we would need a motion on that to
Make a
accept
motion.
that, and a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay,
We had 471 activity calls in the past 30 days. Our grant, we got reimbursed for one of the GOHS grants and the public safety grant that's paying 2 of our officers right now. We got a check on both of those, correct, Denise? We have been working on our policy manual for the police department, and we actually had a class on that the past 2 days, yesterday and today. The snowstorm created somewhat of a challenge, an issue for some of us, including myself. Someone pulled me out of that situation. Thank you, Mayor. Our body cams are on the way. Hopefully we'll be here by the end of the month. Our software systems, we're still waiting on that to be merged over. That's a very lengthy process. What they do, they take all our reports, our citations, and everything that we have in our computer database and merge it into the cloud. And that's years of paperwork. So they're still working on that. As far as the campers in the city that was in question on Weaver Street, y'all asked me to go with Keith. Went with Keith. I took photos of what Keith told me to take photos of. Everything was in compliance. It had a green sticker where they'd been out there with the date on the sticker. That's all I can tell you about that. Like I said, he's the one that does all of the
On Weaver Street or Sutton Street?
both. Yeah. That's all I can tell you about that. That's his cup of tea as far as that goes. That's all I have, Mayor, Council.
okay,
She's a meter box.
I have a question for you, Michael, if you don't care. In December, we had expenditures to the North Georgia Catering for GOHS for $7,028.
Yes.
Is that reimbursed to
Yeah,
us?
we've already got most of it back.
Most of it already back.
Okay.
We're waiting on one more check from
And
the
the
state.
same for the $3,500 from Rod's Rock and Rolls, that's reimbursed too? isn't
Yes,
it?
ma'am. The police and sheriff's press pays for that every year. Just waiting on the check to get here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey Michael, my dad was saying that with the green sticker, that typically means that the meters are in compliance,
Correct, it is.
but not the trailer
but not
itself.
the-
They're in compliance, yes. There's no ordinances preventing any type of campers or anything like that inside the city or the county as we speak. So like he said, at this given time, everything's in compliance. The city could condemn them if they would wish to proceed in that. The one on Sutton Street does have a busted out window and does have a tarp on top of it. That gentleman or lady stated that tarp was to keep the camper from leaking, and upon moving the camper, the window was busted out. But as far as there being any type of code enforcement, there's none we can do at this time.
are those, owned by the individuals that are staying in them?
They are. Well,
Okay,
yes.
About the property.
I wondered
Yeah.
about
The
that.
property is owned by Hugh Rogers. He rents them so much a month per camper. There's a lady that lives in the second one that's got 2 kids. She recently went through divorce and has nowhere to go, is what her story was. And she rents from Hugh, pays Hugh so much a month. Of course, I didn't ask that. But I got their names, but I can't give that out.
So how many government housing,
We have 5 inside the city, 5 government housing
do you know what
complexes.
the waiting list is?
It's very lengthy, up to 2 years on some of it. Yep.
Kind of maybe to answer another question you may have on that, with the new HUD requirements, if a person meets their requirements and they are very open, the housing authority has no other option by law than to rent them that home or that apartment. That is a HUD rule.
What do you mean, like?
It doesn't not, if they qualify and it's the term for that person, they have lists of people waiting lists to get in there. If you come up, even if you're,
Like a sex offender or anything like that? Is that what you're saying? Then they're
yes
gonna-
ma'am,
They go in next?
yes ma'am,
Mhm.
we can't, they can't, by law, federal, can't discriminate against any person like that, and that has been, I know what you're thinking, agree, but that's totally out of our hands.
Right.
And about the only way they can get removed is if they don't pay or they get caught for
And
another felony and or
Is
crime.
is it just for Mccaysville? Because I know
No,
that.
that's nationwide. That's federal, that's nationwide. Nationwide. That's just how it is. And that creates a very bad problem for our police.
Yeah, and as the mayor stated, you know, the
Very
5
hard.
government housing complexes we got, some's ran by HUD and some's not. The one above Past Country Kitchen there is not ran by HUD. Not Berry Street Apartments, Brookstone Apartments is not ran by HUD. Those are ran by private entities, and they have managers, so-called, but they are subsidized housing, which is based off of your income and your situation. So, yeah, it's hard to get people in those, and it's hard to get people out of those, as the mayor stated.
It's very difficult to get them out.
Because I know being a social worker, a woman living in a camper with 2 kids is considered homeless still.
Not in Fannin County.
Yep.
I didn't know that either. Thank you.
DFACS will not remove children in Fannin County for that.
All you gotta have is proper shelter and food.
Power and water. Yep.
I kind of just threw that one in for free because that's a lot of our calls, talking to Susan and Michael, a lot of our calls are there, and it's bad.
When he had, when he was asking, well, where are they supposed to go? What are they supposed to do? The county has HOA campgrounds for people, and it may keep them out because of the age or the look of that camper, because they have rules and they don't allow them in there. So maybe out of desperation, because it's being allowed, they, but they do have, there is campgrounds up there for them, year round.
If not, a good business to get into right now.
Well,
We'll haul you in there.
okay. Which I guess now we are for public comment. We've done a lot of that, but,
Let me say one thing.
Yes, sir.
I need to just mention this. Believe it or not, I joined the VA. As old as I am,
Good for you.
I joined
good
it.
for you. You
But-
deserve it.
So reason I said that, I went to a meeting the other night, and one of the things that had been posed at the courthouse, Jamie the chairman is looking for a flag with some history on it to decorate his, where all the business takes place there, right by his office. And so I went to the VA, I said, surely you got some flags that we could get to him. And as it turns out, when the VA first started, they started in Fannin County, but they were meeting in Mccaysville. I looked this up on iPad, it may not be 100%, but started at, they were meeting here in Mccaysville, and then they moved from here and went to Blue Ridge. And I don't have any time frame on that, but the fellow that is in charge of the VA up there, the speaker, whenever we were asking about flags, he said, I believe we have the flag that when we first started down in Mccaysville, I believe we have that flag. And so I said, well, how hard would it be to get? And I don't think it's going to be hard, but Jamie would like to put that flag up there. It's their flag, it's the VA's flag, it don't belong to anybody else. It's theirs, and if they will let it go. But I just wanted to say, if you ever want to come up there and see the flag, it should be posted in a good place and took care of and clean and lasting. So I just wanted to make that point. Yeah.
Okay, that'd be a good thing. I think it's a good thing to get it up,
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah.
Where are you looking at?
I believe, Susan, it's stored out in that, you know where the helicopter's at? I believe it's stored out there in that little building.
Okay, anybody else on this side? All right, folks, here we are. Y'all's turn. Anything else that you
When
need
you
to?
conducted this
kinda
meeting,
act-
we were able to interact, was,
Well, I apologize for being kind of haphazard about what went on. I appreciate your patience on that. But more than that, I appreciate,
Just a word on
Yeah,
that,
sir.
trailer in front of me,
sir, yes, sir.
or camper, or whatever you wanna call it. There's been probably a different car there every night. I mean, it's not the same person staying in that trailer, that's for sure.
We know
I mean,
that.
yeah, I got all kinds of cameras around my house, but they even drop people off. You know, it's like, I'm not saying there's anything bad going on. I'm just saying it's kind of weird. You know.
Sorry,
Trees.
you're getting attacked.
But yeah, it might be just something for you to keep an eye on.
Something else.
Yeah.
Another-
When you're not doing that.
Another quick note, just to kind of tell you, we know that with the weather, the garbage has not been exactly,
Yeah.
they came early and a lot of people were not prepared for that. We didn't actually really kind of know that, but they assured us that they would be coming back,
They done a pretty good job. They
taking care of what it is.
they drove by probably 4 or 5 different times
But-
getting people's trash.
And another thing, I want to thank all y'all for all your help kind of during the weather that kept things going. All the guys at work, we were very, very fortunate. We had very few water issues. We've got a lot of water things that are coming up that we're going to do maintenance wise to really get us back where we actually really need to be. And another one of the reasons we're hurrying up with that was Susan and I talked, Jason and I talked at different times, and we're worried about what's coming on, and we want to make sure we have things prepared now and spend a little bit extra to get these where they really need to be before whatever happens. But along with that, we'll be able to give a lot better service. Our overtime deals will go down quite a bit. We do have individuals that work with the water department that are on call every night, and you can call the number for the water plant. That's always posted, I believe, on the website now, and they will get a hold of that person and they will go. The water department folks will have a charge, sheet to note, so they will be able to tell the customer what's going on with that. And so we make it very easy for them to decide yes or kind of no, especially about the water. Well, I'll check this first before I call you back. They save us money and them money. And that's kind of what it's about is, like I say, we've got two things to sell, water and service. After that, we're pretty much out of the ballgame. But thank y'all for coming. I always really appreciate the ones that come. You're always welcome. And we'll always be willing to hear what you have to say, because we do work for you. So, anybody else got anything they need to say or do or anything, we're here.
Don't go up Jerry Pack's hill.
Exactly. No, kind of on that. We're gonna talk with the county. We had salt for some places. Of course, when we went to get it, it was solid as a rock. Had to blow it up with dynamite. It sat there so long that we had to use it, which I'm thankful for that. But we're going to talk with Jamie, and they've been very good about helping us out on some things. Very good relationship. You got good people that's running this county, and we got very good employees here. Very good. I appreciate all of them. Appreciate all of you that helped me do this. Courtney, thank you keeping me out of trouble tonight. But, if nothing else, we'll adjourn. I need a motion to adjourn, please.
Before we,
Yes,
wait,
yes, ma'am.
Do we want to set the workshop? Because everybody's here, so it needs to be done in the next week or two. So if you want to set the workshop, I think you could look at not next week, but the next week, that way we can publish it. Anybody have anything the week of January 27th?
Sure I'll do.
I know the 30th we have a meeting.
We have to go.
Yep. Nobody likes to meet on Fridays, so what if we're looking at Monday or Tuesday?
That'd take us into February.
Hey, and you can be here.
It'll be Monday, the 27th or 28th.
All right.
Yeah.
Susan.
She mom will be one of those other ones.
Michael? Susan? 27th or 28th, Monday or Tuesday?
Huh?
Is there still a hold on taps?
For, developments and things, yes. There is. Now for private,
Just
residential,
residential?
there's none.
They're gonna, they can do any time now?
Billy
We'll
Wayne?
have to- I can't remember when it comes back up, we'll have to relook at
Are
it.
you good on the 27th or 28th?
What day is that on?
I thought it was
Monday,
just a short
Tuesday.
period of
Yes,
time,
ma'am.
and that's why I was
That's my
asking.
best days.
It was,
27th or 28th?
initially
I'm
it
easy,
was, was,
I'm retired.
but
Pick one,
we're
27th or
we're
28th.
trying to get the water
Let's do
meters in,
the-
because
let's
we're
do
gonna
Monday.
time for those, now that
Monday
we got those in,
at
we're trying to reassess
What time?
Yeah,
how
okay.
that's going,
Six.
it's looking better, so.
I asked Jason. Jason, what time? It was
On Monday the
Monday.
27th.
6:30 fine.
Everybody's cool?
Let's do 6 and.
6
I'll-
o'clock?
Yeah, I'll
We'll
try
be
to make
surrounded
it
by
around here.
Workshop.
I couldn't be there. Yeah, water there, the one that's in
Board studio,
and I was gonna try to go to.
so you can talk to the
We
people.
can see.
The way you do it.
Do you call it Larry? On that one, I get the road there, you done? Go to the next closest
Well,
one.
it's gotta be. Because from what I understand, that's the one time that multi-family.
Yeah, damn Courtney.
It's Glenn's fault.
But I don't think they know.
He's the one who said something. Mayor,
Motion to adjourn.
are we, do a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Everybody ready, raise your hand.
Quiet over there, man.
Special call